Once you've had to go at the in and out numbers and finding those rules, we are going to have a look at some investigation. So actually looking at some problems and figuring out the rules from those problems. And usually the best way of doing this is to draw a picture and then figure out the rule from there. So on Canvas, you've got a whole bunch of examples. There's the chair one, there's the little one with dragons, there's the fir tree, oh, there's the rocket one, which looks like that, and then there's the fir tree one. I think the best ones here are the table one and the fir tree one, which is the pyramid here. But you can do any of these that you like, and there's a few other ones underneath in Canvas as well. I'm actually going to go through the chairs one so you understand the way to work through these problems. So we've got growing patterns, tables and chairs. The idea here is that you have a restaurant that uses small square tables to seat customers. One chair is placed on each side of the table. 4 chairs fit around one square table. And if they want to handle bigger groups, they put tables together like a restaurant would, and then you put the seats around. So obviously you can't put the seats in between the tables because you've pushed them together. So the first question is draw a diagram showing how many customers would be seated at a square table. On a 3 square table, so that's 3 squares together when they're pushed together. So you can see on this page we've got a 1 square table, a 2 square table, and we need a 3 square table. And all the tables have been pushed together. Now we can fit people on each end, and one person can sit on each side of the table. So that's the diagram for 3 square tables. So that is the first question. Next one, it says complete the table for reference. Now this is the table here. Now this table is actually a table of tables. Which is a table that tells you how many tables you have. So this is the number of square tables, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and how many customers can sit around the table. So you can see here that with 1 square, you've got 4 customers. 1, 2, 3, 4. With 2 squares, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 customers. And with 3 squares, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 customers. So we can put 1 is 4, 2 is 6, 3 was 8 customers. Now you might like to try and draw the other one so you can see what happens. So for example, the 4 squares one, which I'll just draw down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and put your customers around, 1 on each side and 2 on the end. You can see we have 4, 8, 9, 10. So with 4 square tables, we have 10 customers. Now some of you can probably start to see the pattern. The pattern is it's going up in 2s. 4, 6, 8, 10. So we can figure out that it will be 12 and 14. So what it says here for the next, so that's done, it says is find a pattern you can use to predict the number of customers that may be seated at any size table. Describe the pattern in words. So what we want to look for here is a relationship. So between this number and the number on the right. So the idea there is for you to look for a rule. So if we took, and we've done these with the in and out tables, take this number in this column and look for a relationship, what we might try doing is multiplying. So multiplying maybe by 1 to start with. So 1 times 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then looking to see, is there some thing that you can add or subtract to get to these numbers over here. For example here, 1 to get to 4 you'd need plus 3. Well, does that work every time? 2 plus 3? Oh, that would be 5, which doesn't work here. So that means that maybe that the times 1 doesn't seem to be the right way to go. So let's try multiplying by something else. Let's try multiplying by 2. Take all these numbers here, multiply them by 2. Now we're going to do the same thing. Let's take those numbers and add something to get to this number over here. So 2 plus 2 would be 4. Let's try it again. 4 plus 2 would be 6. 6 plus 2 would be 8. So this all seems to work. Plus 2 seems to get us to this other number. So what does that mean? Well, what it means is if we take the number of tables, which is the column on the left, and we multiply by 2, and so that was the first part, that was this column here, we multiplied them by 2, got it really close to here, but a little bit off, and add 2, we can, and so that's the adding 2 part, predict how many customers will sit at the tables. So we could use this rule to like predict something big, and that's what we're going to do on the next slide. So the big thing to remember here is that we've figured out a rule. It is taking the number of tables, multiplying it by 2, and then adding 2 onto that number to get the number on the right side. So now it's asking you to figure out a pattern using algebra. Now algebra is just letters and numbers. Now it's asking you to use customers with the letter C and tables with the letter T. So in this table, I'm actually going to write a C up here, that's customers, and a T for tables. So what's the relationship? Well, as a rule, we know that if we take the number of tables, we times it, or multiply that number of tables by 2, and we add 2, we will get the number of customers, C. This is a rule in algebra. You've actually used letters and numbers to be able to predict the number of customers when you know the number of tables. So that's the answer here. C equals T times 2 plus 2. I've just used lowercase c and t here. I used uppercase here. It doesn't matter as long as you're using the same letters. So the last part of this is to use your pattern to try and figure out how to fill in this table. Now we know what we have to do is take these numbers and multiply them by 2 first of all. So 10, 20, 50, 200. And then to get from these numbers to these numbers, we have to add 2 because that was the second part of the rule. 20 plus 2 is 22, 50 plus 2 is 52, and 200 plus 2 is 202. So what we've done is we've done really 3 things here. We've taken the pictures and we've drawn some examples so we can see the pattern. Once we've looked at the pattern, we've filled in a table. Once we've done the table, we've written the pattern in words. And then to finish off, we wrote the pattern in algebra, which is just letters and numbers. And then we've been able to do this. This is what we call a prediction. So this is using numbers that we didn't have, like we can't be bothered drawing 100 tables, right? But we can use our rule to actually predict how many people we'd have because this works every time for the number of tables because our rule is correct. So the big thing here that my suggestions for you is always to draw a diagram, first of all, then fill in a table. Once you've filled in the table, try and find the rule. Either do the rule in words, or if you think you can as well, do the rule in algebra. And the last thing you should do is always check your rule, by using your rule to predict the number, for example here of customers, and for the number of tables, predict using your rule. So you should always go through these 4 steps to make sure that you're covering all those aspects that you should be for these type of questions. Good luck.